Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. Although it might not initially look like it, Kuma is an extremely kind character and he's dedicated to his friends and family, and has even been willing to give his life in order to keep them safe. In fact, his unexpected assistance to the Straw Hats was an event that no one could have seen coming, and initially many thought it was a confrontation, but in reality, Kuma was actually saving them from an even worse fate. So in today's video, we're going to talk about how Kuma managed to save the Straw Hats several times, and why the former revolutionary and warlord was supporting pirates that he didn't even know. But before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel or even if you've watched a bunch of our videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like and even subscribe and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out, especially with that old YouTube algorithm, and it keeps motivating us to make more content. If you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, consider sharing this video or another one of your favorites with your friend. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So my friends, Kuma's relationship with the Straw Hat crew is not only complex, but full of nuances. Now, he was initially introduced as one of the members of the 7 warlords of the sea, and Kuma was feared as one of the most powerful pirates in the world. However, throughout our story, there have been elements emerging that indirectly connect him to the Straw Hats, and have even demonstrated surprising loyalty to the fledgling pirates that seek to conquer this vast world. One of the most impactful revelations about Kuma was his knowledge of Monkey D. Luffy's family. He knew intimate details such as the family relationship between Luffy, Garp, Port Gastiers, and even Monkey D. Dragon. The information about these relationships were closely guarded secrets and not public knowledge. So the fact that Kuma was aware of these connections demonstrates that he was deeply involved in the events surrounding Luffy and his family, perhaps even obtaining this knowledge through his old friend Dragon himself. The most significant moment that highlighted the complexity of Kuma's relationship with the Straw Hats occurred during the confrontation at Thriller Bark. After witnessing Luffy defeat Gecko Moria, Kuma reported it to the world government, leading to an order to eliminate all witnesses, including the Straw Hats. However, Kuma offered a surprising alternative. He agreed to spare everyone if they allowed him to take Luffy. Now, the Straw Hats initially refused the offer, but when they found themselves unable to defeat Kuma, Zoro sacrificed himself in exchange for Luffy. This resulted in one of the most iconic moments in One Piece, known as the Nothing Happened moment. Zoro offered to take all of the pain from Luffy, and Kuma accepted it, thus transferring all of the pain and suffering that Luffy had endured during his fight against Moria, and this ended up sparing Luffy's life. This act of sacrifice on Zoro's part further revealed Kuma's loyalty to the Straw Hats, as well as his humanity. Kuma demonstrated his understanding of the value of loyalty and commented on Dragon's son's loyal crew. And this made it clear that despite his position as a warlord and his seemingly hostile actions, Kuma shared a unique connection with the Straw Hats, and it was based on a deeper understanding of their circumstances and empathy for their cause. In the end, Kuma can absolutely be considered an indirect ally of the Straw Hats, whose complex actions and hidden motivations demonstrate a much deeper understanding of this mysterious personality. Now, although this first event already demonstrates Kuma's certain sympathy for the Straw Hats, the event that really solidified that he had great charisma and affection for Luffy and his crew happened during the events of the Sabati Archipelago arc. In this extremely complicated event for the Straw Hats, Kuma chose to save the Straw Hat pirates during the incident on Sabati, a crucial point in the history of Luffy's group. Now, Kuma had already demonstrated a mysterious connection, or at least knowledge, with the Straw Hats in Thriller Bark, and he seemed to act in a more altruistic way by allowing the Straw Hats to stay alive through Zoro's demonstration of determination. However, with the events of Sabati, Kuma showed his true nature. Once Kuma realized that the crew was in imminent danger at the hands of the ruthless Admiral Kizaru and Sentomaru, Kuma's intentions became even clearer. He recognized the threat posed by the world government, and knowing that the Straw Hats were valuable targets, he decided to intervene. Without a doubt, Kuma had to have been aware of the atrocities committed by the nobles and the horrors that could be inflicted on the Straw Hats should they fall into the hands of these sadistic oppressors. So in order to protect them, Kuma made use of his separation ability to ensure the safety of each crew member by sending them to different islands and other distant locations. This one singular act meant that Kuma not only saved the Straw Hats from a tragic end at the hands of their enemies, but this allowed each member of the crew to grow and become stronger individually in ways that they may not have ever been able to accomplish on their own. Because of these actions, Kuma was punished by the world government and ended up having to sacrifice his own free will, and thus accepted to become a human weapon programmed by Vegapunk. But that wasn't the end of Kuma's plans. Unbeknownst to many others except for Vegapunk, Kuma had a special exception put into his programming where he would protect the Thousand Sunny during the Straw Hat's absence, thus protecting this precious ship until a single crew member returned. In this way, Kuma's heroic gesture was motivated by a sense of justice and compassion, as well as the respect that he developed for Zoro, who had survived his previous attack on Thriller Bark. And this mutual respect between Zoro and Kuma was a key factor in his decision to protect the Straw Hats. Frankie even acknowledged that debt that they owed to Kuma, showing the deep gratitude that the crew felt for this act of kindness and sacrifice. And thus, Kuma's sacrifice in his decisions to save the Straw Hats demonstrated not only his courage, but also his understanding of the importance of friendship and protecting the innocent. Kuma's action shows that even though he was forced to follow an unwanted path, he was still willing to give his all for his ideals, and helped people he knew that would be able to change the world. Thus, the forced separation and resulting time skip imposed by Kuma on the Straw Hats was not only an act of protection, but also an extremely valuable lesson for Luffy's crew. Because as each member found themselves on a different island, facing their own challenges and strengthening their own individual skills, they also began to understand the true extent of the world that they were in, as well as many of the dangers that were still yet to come their way. During the time skip, the Straw Hats encountered unexpected allies and unimaginable challenges. And while facing dangers, they also witnessed the diversity and complexity of the world around them. During that time, while each grew individually, they still harbored that hope that one day they would reunite and resume their journey together. And meanwhile, Kuma remained on the Thousand Sunny, fulfilling his own promise to protect the ship for the Straw Hats. And although Kuma had lost his autonomy, his sense of duty remained unshakable, and he became a silent witness to the Straw Hats' ongoing adventures, a kind of protective shadow that ensured their home and their symbol of freedom remained safe. Kuma's gesture and the resulting time skip also proved to be pivotal to the Straw Hats' emotional growth, because as they learned even more the value of the friendship that they shared, they too learned of the importance that they needed to support each other as they were going to head back out into unknown adversity. And when they finally reunited, the bonds between the Straw Hats were stronger than ever. They understood that the world was vast and full of challenges, but their friendship and loyalty that they shared was in fact their greatest strength. It also seemed that Kuma endured further sacrifice while protecting the ship for the Straw Hats, getting completely damaged because of the various fights he had to get into just to protect the Thousand Sunny. And this demonstrated his great determination and strong conviction even after he had lost his autonomy. Thus, Kuma's story and his relationship with the Straw Hats not only saved them from a completely horrible fate, but also turned them into a united crew, where they were ready to face any adversity that the new world might throw at them. And even though Kuma may have become a heartless human weapon, his benevolent action would continue to be extremely important to the Straw Hats' journey. Because as the Straw Hats go through the seas in the new world, they carried with them the memory of Kuma and his selfless actions. Kuma's example served as a constant reminder that they may find unexpected allies throughout their journey, people who might share the same goals and dreams and would support them when necessary. And when you look at it that way, Kuma's story and his relationship with the Straw Hats is an absolutely great example of how the complexity of the characters in One Piece goes far beyond simple appearances. Where initially Kuma was introduced as one of the warlords and was feared as one of the most powerful pirates in the world. However, his story and his actions revealed a man whose heart and compassion were deeply intertwined with the Straw Hats' own adventure. So ultimately, Kuma is a figure that the Straw Hats will never forget, because his gesture had a profound impact on the Straw Hats and contributed to their emotional and physical growth. And you could easily make the argument that Kuma's separation of the crew and the resulting time skip is gonna be the singular factor that will allow the Straw Hat crew to conquer the Grand Line at the end of our story. So despite the tragic and sad story of Kuma, and even though he went through all of these trials and tribulations, he was always in search of a better world and was always aiming for and to achieve this ideal world. And he always went out of his way to support those who could bring about that change to the world. So as the Straw Hats continue their journey into the new world and further into this final saga, they will carry with them Kuma's example, showing that unexpected allies can come their way and that friendship and compassion are the most powerful forces that can overcome any challenge. And who knows, maybe one day Kuma might find his way back to humanity and be his ultimate reward for every one of his selfless actions. So with all that said about our favorite gentle giant, we'd now love to know what you think about it. What do you think we're still gonna learn about Kuma? Because in recent chapters, we've learned that he actually was a part of the God Valley galley incident. And there's gonna be a much deeper story about everything that went on with Kuma. So what surprises do you look forward to? What else do you think we might still have to learn about this great former warlord? Let us know what you think in the comments below. So as we wrap up our video, we'd like to thank you all so much for watching, especially those of you who've made it here to the very end. Make sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like and hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I look forward to seeing you all in our next video. Let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.